Toastmasters. He's distinguished Toastmaster, as a matter of fact. And I don't know the name of his speech, but it will be good. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. Tim Trumbull has been Toastmaster for over 13 years and a member of the Queen City for 3 years. His presentation this evening is project number 5 from the advanced manual, The Entertaining Speaker. This is a story appropriate for the immediately past Valentine's Day. The presentation runs 10 to 12 minutes and is called Summer of '77. Please welcome Tim Trumbull.
Albert Einstein once defined insanity as repeating the same process over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, that being the case, I'm guilty. Meshuggah, pupule, enferma, la cabeza, you name it. That's fine, I admit to it. Because as a result, there's a part of me at peace tonight. See, I finally found out what happened to the one who got away. You know what I'm talking about when I say that. That intense and typically far too brief romance that tends to define the way you see relationships for the rest of your life. It was May of 1977. I had just finished another year of college at Iowa State University. Was headed back from Ames to Des Moines for what I thought was going to be a quiet, relaxing summer. Still, as I headed home for the year and made plans for the summer, there was this nagging sense that something unusual, unique, spectacular was about to happen. Proceeded on with my plans, and the biggest decision I seemed to have before me for the summer was whether to take the summer job at the paint warehouse or the Pizza Hut. Well, as it turned out, I let the spicy tomato sauce win out over the latex semi-gloss, so I donned my red shirt, as they wore in those days, and went to work at the Pizza Hut. As I did, there was still this nagging sense that something unique was about to happen. Now, of course, it was May, late spring, and as the old saying goes, in springtime, a young man's fancy turns to thoughts of love. Well, when I went to work, there were a couple of eligible young ladies there. Jeannie seemed almost the perfect type. She's kind of that rock and roll groupie type. And being someone who had just stumbled into radio, when we radio DJs were the next best thing to rock stars. So I figured, okay, things are set. All right, done deal. Until I found out that she had a boyfriend who played in a local rock and roll band. Well, that left Becky. She was certainly a different sort of image. She was that almost librarian type image. Blonde hair pulled up in a bun because she was working in a restaurant. Wire rim glasses. Kind of skinny, actually. But that nagging sense just wouldn't go away. After a couple of weeks, talked quite a bit, got to know each other, and I decided I'd go ahead and go for it. I asked Becky out. Amazingly, she said yes. When that night rolled around, and I got to Becky's door, not knowing quite what to expect still. So I knocked on the door, she opens it, and my jaw was on the floor. She had gone through that sort of metamorphosis you typically see in a movie where the stodgy librarian takes off the glasses, lets down the hair, and all of a sudden becomes a bombshell. The glasses were gone, the contacts were in. She looked absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe it. We went to dinner that night. The conversation was absolutely magnetic. The connection between us was unbelievable. She was a music major at Drake University in Des Moines. Well, there I was, the disc jockey. So we had the musical connection. Her thing was classical. Mine was jazz and rock. how we could talk shop. She was very impressed by the fact that I knew a lot of the jazz musicians around town. The conversation continued on and on throughout the evening. Dinner was very cold by the time we actually got around to it. Things progressed over the next few weeks. The relationship continued to grow. And then the big event of the summer came up. Those of you who may recall the group in the 70s and I believe early 80s even, called Emerson, Lake and Palmer. They were an amazing blend of classical music and rock and roll. Real trailblazers. Even when it came to technology, they were some of the first ones to use lots of synthesizers and yet incorporate full orchestras into some of their music. They were on tour, and they were going to be in Chicago, playing in Soldiers Field. We talked about it, and we decided we had to go. There's no two ways about it. Plans were made, tickets were bought, we hit the road, and we got to Chicago on what was the hottest day of the year in Chicago. There we sat in Soldiers Field in 104 degree heat. Now, mind you, Emerson, Lake and Palmer wasn't the only act. This, in fact, was a day-long 4-band concert. Jay Giles Band, Fog Hat, the Doobie Brothers, and then Emerson, Lake and Palmer. We sweltered through the heat through the first 3 bands, and then it was a 2.5-hour break before Emerson, Lake and Palmer came on because the stage had to be completely reset to accommodate their 70-piece orchestra and 20-member choir that was backing up this techno-rock trio. So we sat, we waited, we talked, we sweat. Finally, after what seemed like an entire day all by itself, it was almost as if God himself choreographed the opening of the show. The sun went down, a cool breeze blew in off of Lake Michigan, the Chicago skyline lit up right behind the stage. The orchestra took their seats and struck up the overture. Out came Emerson, Lake and Palmer. For the next 2.5 hours, they played the kind of music that the audience had been expecting. And that audience got everything they were expecting. An absolutely unbelievable performance from a trio backed by nearly 90 musicians. It was an incredible blending of rock and classical, with songs from their own compositions, as well as actual classical pieces from Debussy, for example. The show was amazing. We stayed in Chicago that night, and after the show was over, we were talking, and we realized that that show had been just an amazing marriage of classical and rock, the likes of which had never been seen before. And it was at that point that the musician and the disc jockey started talking about their own possible marriage. The summer went on. I returned to school in Ames, about 30 miles north of Des Moines. She returned to school in Drake, there in Des Moines, which nowadays would be nothing. But in 1977, before any of us had the internet, before unlimited long distance, before email, they might as well have been on different continents. Long distance phone calls were just simply too expensive. Letters took time. And so communication grew less and less frequent. Over the next few months, others entered our lives. A number of years later, I happened to come across Becky. Our paths crossed again as we worked actually in the same building for a while. But we were never able to quite rekindle that same spark that we had before. Fast forward 30 years, here in Charlotte, 2007. The 30th anniversary of our getting together. I've got this old habit of looking up friends that I haven't seen in a long, long time. I have an old buddy in San Diego that I knew from my days in Florida. I looked him up a few years ago and found him, struck up a conversation. We now talk on Facebook, and when I first found him, we hadn't talked in 20 years. Every so often, I'd love to look up those old friends. And perhaps it was because that 30th anniversary of our meeting that I just decided I needed to find out whatever happened to Becky. Got on the web, did some searches, and for quite a while, it was fruitless. Couldn't come up with anything other than some vague suggestions that maybe she was somewhere in Texas. Well, that's where Dr. Einstein's definition of insanity comes into play. I just wouldn't give up. Once a month or so, I'd get online and try again. Still no result. The next month, still nothing. Another month, still no result. But I was dedicated to the fact that I was not going to give up. So I kept trying, month after month, and finally, one day, there was a brand new page on a genealogy website that traced her father's lineage. A couple of mouse clicks later, and I discovered a middle school music teacher in a Houston, Texas suburb who was married to the facilities manager for the music department at Rice University and had a 13-year-old daughter who, not only, like her mom, was an accomplished award-winning cellist, but with the exception of the brunette hair instead of the blonde, she was a dead ringer for her mother. Finally found out what had happened to Becky. I even had a phone number, had a street address, but couldn't quite pick up the phone. I found out what I wanted to know. And I didn't want to cause any unintended consequences on their marriage. I knew that she had what appeared at least to be a happy life, and things had turned out well for her. So I decided to leave well enough alone. I'll keep things. But I finally knew what happened to the one who got away. You see, the interesting thing is that while Einstein may have said that repeating that same act over and over